Hello and welcome to another episode of My Football Story from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Charlie Betts, and joining me this week is non-league legend RONAYNE Marsh-BROWN. RONAYNE is incredibly honest about his career, which started out at Gillingham, resulted in then getting a move to Holland, and in the career that ensued from there in both the Football League and non-league. What I love about this interview is RONAYNE is incredibly honest about what it's like to be a professional footballer, and then that transition from professional football to non-league football. I can't thank RONAYNE enough for giving up his time and talking to us. If you do like what you hear, don't forget to like, share and subscribe below. You can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootballFree. And I'm delighted to say that RONAYNE's with us now. RONAYNE, thank you for giving up your time. Obviously, I know it's quite busy for you in a minute, sort of with your business and stuff. So thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me, pal. I appreciate it.
So just to begin with, we'll talk about your career and sort of, the different directions you went in, international call-ups and all of that. But we'll do that a bit later on. But what we always like to do is just sort of go right back to the beginning of your sort of love of football, basically. So can you remember your first football memory, whether it be playing or going to a game or anything like that? Where did it all begin for you?
Yeah, it was quite strange, really, because I wasn't your normal football kid. I was into wrestling and stuff like that. It was I think I was bouncing off the walls and stuff in the change room, in the front room a lot over the holidays. And my dad, we were driving, and I'll never forget, we were driving in West London. And there was like a group of kids playing football on the field. So my dad stopped, and it was a team. I think what were they called? I think it was Norfolk Eagles or something like that. And he's like, "Oh, can my son have a kick around?" I was a mess. I was like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing?" But went over then, just had fun, and literally it came from there. Just kicking the ball around every Thursday, no structure to it, just really enjoying it. It wasn't until my little brother Keanu, he was at Chelsea, and it wasn't until he was at Chelsea from a young age, 9 or 10. Right. And it wasn't until I'd be there watching and I'd be kicking the ball around. And then someone had a chat with me about, "Oh, you're left-footed, would you be interested?" And I was not really, because I never had that kind of coaching or anything like that. And it looked really serious from their age. But it wasn't until then I got into it at like 13, 14 properly. I love football now as it is. Like I can't do anything else, mate, if I'm honest. Like I love with football. I'd watch it all night. I hardly sleep. I wake up in the morning. I'm trying to speak to different coaches and get different ideas and stuff like that. So I think it's just grown from there. But if I'm honest, in a serious sense, from when my brother was at Chelsea.
Yeah. Do you remember the first game you went to like watch as a fan?
It was QPR.
Right.
I went to QPR. A holiday camp with my brother. He was the footballer. He's always been the footballer. Like, he loves it. And I went to a holiday camp at the school, and I think the part of it was at the end there was a game at QPR, so they took us along. Honestly, I swear to God, I've wanted to play for QPR ever since. Like, I absolutely loved the tightness of the stadium. Oh, it's just an unbelievable place when I went there. So it was my first game. I can't remember who they played. But I just remember after that, I think my mum had to buy me every single QPR shirt. I even had the goalkeeper shirt.
Really?
Absolutely loved it. And then I had the Sunday team that I was playing for, the kids' Sunday team. Our goalkeeper ended up signing for QPR and had a really good career. Jake Cole, a friend of mine, I spoke to him the other day, to be fair, and we were talking about it, and he was there for 5 years, and I literally was like such a fanboy. I was like, "Jake, can I get an autograph? Can I get?" It was honestly, that club for some reason. After that, it really stayed close to me.
I think that's that's where this whole sort of series started from. Actually, just talking to fans, not footballers, but it was that sort of thing. Actually, I think that's the one common ground that you have with anyone, whether you played at the top level like yourself or not, is you're always a football fan, aren't you? And you hold on to those sort of memories and stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously, then as a player, obviously, I know you said you sort of did it for the fun, but it got a bit more serious maybe, and you got it sort of to sort of 15, 16 years old. And I know you mentioned your brother sort of wanted to sort of focus on you, but was there much competition between the two of you once you took football a bit more seriously, or not really?
No, do you know what? I think I'm a bit weird. I love my brother to bits.
Yeah.
Like, literally my best mate.
Right.
If I'm honest. So I always wanted to do well. Whatever I want to do it 100% and stuff. But I always invested in my brother.
Yeah.
So my brother would go on and push on, and he could play in the football league. He could do whatever he wanted to do. I knew it. So everything that I did was really around my brother. So I fell into, I ended up getting I started a scholarship. Well, it was a YTS at Fulham and a full scholarship at Gillingham. So obviously my background, my mum wanted to make sure that I was doing my academic stuff.
Yeah.
So I took at Gillingham with the schooling and stuff. And I remember I used to drive to Gillingham back every day, just so my little brother Key to Arsenal. He went to Arsenal, so I would come back and then get back, do quick as possible, and then I'll take him to Arsenal. I'll get back in at like 10, half 11 at night, go sleep, wake up in the morning, go to training. And so I think there's never ever been a battle between me and him. No. He has all the ability to push on and stuff like that. So no, not really. I just, whatever I learned as an older, I would just try and pass on to him.
Yeah.
That makes.
I think that's fairly unique, probably amongst sort of siblings and stuff. But sort of getting on to you anyway, and that sort of mood you're saying about Gillingham. You obviously mentioned you could have gone to Fulham. In terms of that difference, I suppose, like you say, your brother was in an academy a lot younger. You had obviously gone in a bit later. Did you think that gave you a bit of an advantage almost against maybe some of the other lads at Gillingham, in the sense that you've almost had an experience outside of? Because you get some boys who are there from like 10, 11 years old, didn't they?
Thinking of it now, yeah. But at the time, no, I was a mess. I was a wreck. I was so nervous. I remember they had been there and in that environment for so long, so they knew each other. And as you see it in academies, you get the teams and they grow together, don't they, through the age groups. I remember going into Fulham the first time. A guy called Matt, lovely guy. He took me in, and I remember walking in there, and honestly, my legs were like jelly. Like everybody knew each other. I sat in the change room on my own in the corner, and I thought to myself, I wish I was here earlier. I wish I wish I was seen earlier and stuff like that. So, but thinking of it now, yes, because you get that Sunday league rugged. You got fun and you know how to battle and stuff like that. So I think it's a different environment which only add to you as well. So, but no, yeah, right now maybe, but back then, no chance.
I just wanted to ask you, because being in that environment, obviously, I know you mentioned about being sort of on a scholarship and stuff, but what's your mentality like as a player, in the sense of, I suppose, as well as playing as part of a team, you're obviously trying to get a full-time contract, aren't you? So not that you want players around you to necessarily have a bad game, but do you know what I'm getting at? Like, or do you not really focus like that? How does it sort of work, really?
It's difficult because you all want to achieve. I think that on a Saturday when you're playing a game, that doesn't come into it. You want to win. You got your team environment. You really want to win. Yeah. I think Monday, Friday is more of a competitive nature, because who's getting called over to the first team? Who's getting called to train? Who's getting maybe going into the squad to travel? Then you start getting the little fallouts and the little like niggles in training and stuff like that. I think as the Saturday hits, you're one team. Right. So I don't have that. But it's a ruthless world, if I'm honest, because I look at things now and I think, could it be made more? How do I say this? I don't know how to say it, but it's so ruthless that fall out of it because they haven't got that ruthless nature, if that makes sense. It's the ability in the world, and they've got the drive, but it's okay, let him go, like kind of attitude. So they fall out of it. Could clubs do more? But for their group, maybe, but it's something that would have to be really looked into. But no, Monday to Friday, definitely competitive. Yeah. Everybody wants to be the first team. If someone's getting called over, the others have got a hump. In day, it's a team thing. So. Yeah.
What is the difference then? Like you say, maybe if you went training with the first team, in terms of from a footballing perspective, from like the 18s to sort of, is it physicality? Is it speed? What sort of differences are there between like first team?
Absolutely everything. So yeah, honestly, like the speed of the session is 100 times faster. So you've got to get used to that. The nerves come into it, because you've got men who are this is their livelihood. They've done this for years and years and years. And when one's screaming at you, give me the ball, you almost feel forced to give him the ball, and it might not be the right pass and stuff like that. So there's a variation of things that come into it. And you see the youngsters that go with the first team, and they have less care. So they no fear, confidence, not arrogance, but confidence, and their belief in themselves. They do really well. The ones that might have exactly the same amount of ability, but they don't have that level of confidence and that level of, they don't feel secure, so they're intimidated a little bit. They struggle. Which, as I said, what we're going back to, could clubs do more for those kind of? At the end of the day, every first team manager, his job's on the line. So he's looking for the best of what can help his team. So if someone's not doing it, has he really got a lot of time to invest in that player? Not so much. He's got to win games. He's got to stay in his job. So I get that aspect, but. Yeah, there's a lot of things that come into it when you go over. When you go back, say you train with the first team, and then you go back to over your end with the 18s, the confidence there. You're buzzing. You're top of the world. No one can say anything to you. screaming at you, you're taking on people. So it works both scales, but it is tough to go over. It is tough. And me in the coaching world now, I'm wary of that. So I'm the coach at Bedford first team, Bedford Town. And we've had a few of the youngsters train, 2 or 3. And I've been really wary of really getting them included, really making them feel part of it, because then they can relax. I've got the senior players at our club are unbelievable anyway. You've got like Hitchies, Walks, but Watto, they're really good senior pros. So if I say to them, look after him for 10, 15 minutes, make him feel comfortable, it can make a massive difference in the session. So yeah, there's a few things that could make the kids struggle, but it's football, isn't it?
I think we'll probably touch on it a bit later on. We sort of talk about you sort of coaching side of your life in that sense. But I think it's something that speaking to a few pros that we probably have got better at is that sort of mental side of the game. And even just like that thing of making players, maybe the younger ones, I think maybe even go back, maybe when we were both a bit younger, that it didn't feel like there was as much of that, even at, top level, even grassroots level, I suppose, even. Do you know what I mean? I think we do downplay the mental side. I suppose that's something that, you're very aware of, which is great for anyone who plays for you, I suppose, in that sense.
Do you know what? When I no names, but I grew up around some real hard pros, some real, hard managers and stuff. And I've taken bits from my being a youngster and trying to get into a first team or being in around the 21s and stuff like that. And you see how I see how I'd like to do things differently. There wasn't any. It was like, right, come with us, sink or swim. That's what it was. Or swim, doesn't matter. Like, you've got 2 sessions. That's it. Bang. Their minds are mained up after the first session. No, it's not for me. It's not for me. Blah blah. Right. Not see a little bit about him. How's he done? How's his progress been with the 18s? Has he done well with the 21s? There wasn't any of that. It was, you're already 18. Yeah, we need a body. Come over. You do well. Yeah, great. You come back again. That's how it was when I was growing up. But it's changed. I have to admit, it has changed a lot. A lot of coaches that I speak to, it's more of a process. Let's invest in this youngster and let's bring them all the way through and try to give them the best foundations possible in order to make them successful. Now, you're not always going to be successful in the first team. My style might not suit the style of the first team, but if the foundations are right from the 15s, 16s, 18s, 21s. They're not just building you for that club; they're giving you foundations for life. So you could go out and you don't get something there. You got foundations to go somewhere else that suits you. So I think it's a lot better than it was before. Yeah, which is really pleasing to see.
Yeah, and I think obviously the level you're working at in that sense now, and coming from where you are, I suppose it's great to have that experience. But sort of getting back to you, like you were saying about those foundations, almost sort of post Gillingham, the sort of scholarship thing. I'm right in thinking that you went to Holland for a bit. Is that right? Or how did that come back? Because to be honest, there's some unique moments in your career compared to maybe other people. And that, for me, is one that you don't really hear that story of someone necessarily going, like you at that age, really. How did that happen?
I was really small. You wouldn't tell now, but I was really small. I was getting offered my pro at, so, you do make mistakes when and you listen to certain people, but we'll get back to that. I got offered my pro at Gillingham, and then also I had a bit of interest from Reading. But at the time, I was allowed to go and play for Reading. Andy Hessen was really good for me, to be fair, if I'm honest. I have to give him a shout out. He was really good for me. But at that time, there was an agent. I don't know how it came about, but there was an agent that, I've got an opportunity for you. There's a manager, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think anything of it. My mum and dad dealt with that. More my mum, because my dad hates football, but more my mum. But I think I played a game for Reading. I was actually going to sign for Reading. I played the Earth game under Pardew at the stadium. And I got this agent called my mum after and said, "Oh, we just watched your son play and blah, blah, blah. There's an opportunity for him if he wants to, this and that." And then they sold the whole, he's small, we're technical in Holland and this and blah, blah. So basically that's how it came about. An agent took me over there. I went over and met Marcel Brands. I think he's the Everton chief executive now. They made me feel honestly, I didn't think football you could feel so good in football. Absolute superstar. Like, I went there, I met all the first team players, didn't train or anything, met the management team. It was Martin Jol was the manager at the time, sorry.
Oh, blimey, wow.
Yeah, so him, and I was sold straight away. I flew back home the next day, and I was like, I want to sign, I want to go there. And I'm so glad I did. Honestly, I'm so glad. It was such an amazing experience. Started off in the 21s, and then I integrated into the first team. We had like Serginho, unbelievable pros, Serginho Green, Bulla Rouge, who went down to Chelsea. Now it was a different culture massively from where I'd come from, because, as I said, I come from sink or swim, hard, ruthless. You're in the training session and you're in a team and you're losing, and the first team player wants to dig you out, he digs you out. You get in the change room, he digs you out. Like, and then I went to Holland, and it was like so understanding. They understood you come from a different culture, you come from a different kind of football. That this is how we play. They would take me out to. I went to with Serginho. He took me to a final game, and he said, "Look at this is how we play, and it was just a complete different culture of the way that people do things." So I think in my coaching now, I've taken near enough everything from the way it was in Holland. It was unbelievable.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because I think, it's obviously got such a great reputation, particularly with youngsters, as you would have been then, in Holland. In terms of the football style, was there, you sort of spoke about maybe off the pitch, but on the pitch, because I suppose as a fan from the outside, you get this slight impression that European football's different, it's a bit slower. Is that actually like that when you're on the pitch or not?
I went over there, my first training session, everyone was screaming because I was doing things how I knew at 1,000 miles an hour, around the corners, 1-2s, bang, bang, bang. Yeah. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what I was doing. They thought I was just a circus act. That's the tempo of the English. The under-21s manager at the time, what is his name? He will come to me. He had a stint at Everton as well. He played for Everton in the 80s. Right. And he said, that's football, that's the English football. You've got to get up to the speed of it. And I was like, felt really good because I was like, okay, they can't catch me. I'm doing things really quick and stuff like that. And I think I got that level of respect straight away. Mm. But then you went into a game. I remember I played my first game was against Utrecht, and I couldn't believe how much time and space I had on the ball. Like, I honestly was doing something wrong. I thought that I was getting the ball. I played centre midfield at the time, and I was getting the ball off a fullback, and I honestly thought, no, hold on a second, something's wrong. I could turn, I could look at a pass, I could feed it in, and every time I went for a big one, they were like, no, just start again. I was like, what is this? And it took me, and this is the honest truth, it took me like 6 or 7 weeks to get really like used to it, and just to slow down my game and be more aware of the technical side of it, as opposed to, I love England. I love our football. I love our non-league system. I love our football league system. I love the way that it is. I love everything about it. But the technical aspect of what I learned out there was far superior to learn here. And then that could be within gameplay as well. You're playing in the 18s and it's still about winning games. It's still about, okay, you're under pressure, get the ball in the channel, get the ball in an area and stuff like that. Over there, it wasn't anything like that. Give away the ball, doesn't matter. Give away the ball 6 or 7 times, does not matter. You go over and do the same thing. So that process was really, really good.
Yeah, you do. I suppose from the outside, obviously you've been there, but you always get that impression, don't you, from the outside, that the Dutch are ahead of us probably in terms of development of players and things like that. But like you say, then you lose that competitive element. Do you look back sort of fondly on your time at RKC in Holland, like the whole sort of experience, obviously?
Martin Jol for me was like the best manager I've ever had, if I'm honest. I remember the second time I was on the bench for the first team, and because obviously we had my little brothers and stuff, and Key was playing over there. So my mum stayed with my little brothers, and my dad came over. My dad doesn't like football, but he loves his son, so he'll suffer. And I remember him coming over, and my dad's it takes a lot for him to open up. He doesn't just buy into what you're saying right there. He has to get a good vibe of you, and he can't know what you're in the right place, son. And I was like, honestly, I really feel that, Dad, because I was a youngster. I was living away on my own in a different country, different mentality, and I think there was never a time I couldn't knock on his door, Martin Jol's door. Never a time I couldn't have a conversation with him. There was never a time at training if I looked off or anything like that, it wasn't, come on, you got to be better, blah blah. It was 2 or 3 minutes, come to the side of the pitch, let's reevaluate, let's look at this, let's break it down, and then go. You're good enough. You're more than good enough to be here. And that made me see a different side of football. If I'm honest, I think I would have dropped out of football a lot earlier if it wasn't for someone like that built up my confidence a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Over there was unbelievable. Yeah. With the players that we had, the team, it was quite a little team, RKC, but he took the team to good success. So it was a real good time.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking a slightly personal question, how did you end up sort of back here, eventually, obviously, this whole sort of thing? And
I honestly do believe I came back too soon. I was a bit hasty. So I'd been away 3.5 years. Martin Jol went to Tottenham straight away, the agent that took me over there was like, okay, we got to make something happen. Tottenham now, come on. They had the Stuart Cotter, they had Gareth Bale, they had all these left side players. It was oh my God, if it can happen, please, please, please. There was a few conversations with Martin, and he said, look, I'm going to see what I can do, what I have, blah, blah. But it would never, I don't think it was going to really materialise, which was fine. He left me in a good place. I was in a good place. A lot of the players then started to go. So as I said, Waalwikj went to Chelsea. You had Serginho Green went back to final. A lot of the big players started to move on now because Martin was a big reason why those big players came to the small club, and Marcel Brando. So then Koeman came in, and his brother was at Ajax, so he came into us. The one who went to Everton, he came into us, and it was a real awakening. It was a real life. Then he straight away. I think my second session, he said, "You're not in my plans. We've got an option for a year. We're going to take it up, but you're not in my starting 11 plans." So I was like, okay. I never ever shy from an opportunity to fight, to prove myself. Never ever but when you can tell someone has just written you off completely.
Yeah.
I'd gone from playing how many games and being in a great group and being respected and being appreciated and stuff to that, which is okay, fine, dust yourself down, you've got to work hard. A month into pre-season, he said, "Oh, we've had an offer what was the word he used? We've had interest from Club Bruges." I was like, okay, and I was devastated because I honestly thought I'd spend the rest of my life at this club. I loved everything about it. I lived the apartment that they gave me, and this is no joke. The apartment they gave me was exactly 56 seconds away from the stadium. I was at the stadium. I was in the gym. I loved it. I honestly loved it. I drove to Bruges all the way there. They put me up in a hotel. Trained on the Monday. Trained on a Tuesday. Trained on a Wednesday. Played on a behind closed doors game on a Thursday, and I done the ligaments in my ankle. So it was like, wow, okay. Went back to my club, and that was it. Really, I was just on the outside. It's like, when they say out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was in the physio room all the time. The manager never spoke to me. Never came. I get it. Listen, I get it. Being on the other side of things now, I understand. You've got 30 odd players. You've got 11 you have to keep in the team that you're 11. Then you've got the ones that you think are in and around it, that stuff you've got to keep them happy. And then you've got the ones that aren't even in that, and they're senior pros that you've got to keep happy. And then you've got your injured players. I understand it, how hard it can be for a manager and for a coaching staff to deal with that. But I would like to think people do try a little bit harder. I was just literally, I didn't get spoken to. So it was about 6 months now, and I couldn't shrug off this, with ankle ligaments, it's just the worst. I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm done. I missed home. I was on my own all the time. The boys were, traveling or whatever not. So I was like, no, I'm done. And I got my contract terminated. But I think it was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever done, because I should have stayed and continued forging a career out there. That made sense. I'd played games. I'd been seen. I was known. I should have continued to forge a career out there. I came back here, and that was it. Really, I went to Barnet. They offered me a deal, and if I tell you the money they offered me, and it wasn't about money, but
but
what they offered me, it was like, I have to work. I have to, I have to find something else. At the time, I didn't think about work. It was just football, because I'd been a pro for so long. And then it was, I was training with Barnet for a little bit. As I'm in an hour in it, and I remember having a conversation with my mum. She said, "You have nothing else. The only place that have some offers is in Holland." And I was like, I don't want to go. I'm just devastated at how things done, and I wasn't maybe not strong enough mentally to deal with that situation. And I do regret that, if I'm honest. But life stuff happens in life. So then I ended up I think it was like a week to the season, and I remember Adi Pennock. I used to clean Adi Pennock's boots when I first went to Gillingham.
Right.
And got the Welling job, and he's giving me a call, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've just come back from Holland. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing. I'm devastated. I was in a bad way." And listen, I will say that football, when people talk about mental health in football and stuff like that, and you do get the other side where people think, "Oh, well, you've had a good life. Well, crack on." Football is the most important, non-important thing in my life. You know what I mean? I love my kids. I love my wife. I love everything about my life, my family. But football is just, I can't live without it. So when people say like, "Oh, you didn't struggle," no, listen, I struggled because I didn't have a part of me that I thought was all of me, if that makes sense. Yeah. So he said to me, "Come down." We were in the Conference South at the time, and I was like, "Oh, Conference South, but whatever. I love football. So let's do it." Went down there. The deal he offered me was worse than Barnet, but I had to do it. And we had a good time. We had a good squad. We had a really good squad, and we had a good time from there. And then, that's when I stayed in and around non-league. I couldn't plan my way back up, you know. I went backwards as well. I went like from a midfielder to a defender, and back in the day, defenders didn't really nick moves to the Football League, did they? Like a striker. So I kind of went backwards a little bit. But, you know, I as I said to you in the beginning, I love this country's football. I love the non-league pyramid. I love the way it is. I love the way it gives the boys that maybe either haven't got what it takes to be full-time professionals, or maybe the mentality side they haven't got, or maybe it's just pot luck, haven't been seen. There's a wide range of players that play non-league that could easily step up and play in the Football League, any level. It gives those boys the opportunity to, one, do something they love still, two, be competitive doing it, three, earn some money, because you can earn some decent money in non-league, and four, now more than in my time, you're getting plucked out. If you're doing well and you're having consistency, you're getting plucked out, and you know, teams are taking risks on you. Look at Wickham. That teams, they're now in the Championship, and look at one of their players down there. He was plucked out from non-league. So I think that the pyramid in this country, what they do in the football and how they do it, is unbelievable. So I respect my time in non-league massively.
That sort of thing into non-league. Did you, if you don't mind me asking, like, did you expect to sort of walk back in because of where you've been before? And I don't mean that in a sort of, but do you know where I'm coming from, like in that sense, because of where you've been before?
You do have that mindset, and any pro that will tell you they didn't. I don't know, because you do have that mindset. Well, I've been a pro. It's not like that at all. If you don't fit into a manager's philosophy, if you haven't got a big enough name, there's a variety of things. So it is tough, very tough. The trialing process of things. Some players aren't cut out for it. Some players are like, nah, I can't be able to do that. There's a lot that goes into being a professional. You can get there, but staying there is determination, it's dedication, drive. Oh, you have to be so mentally strong to and that's why I love my little brother, I said, and I respect him so much, because he's had some knocks. You know, he was up there and he's had some big knocks, made some mistakes. You're young, you're gonna make mistakes, but he's always stayed dedicated and driven. And you can't. I remember there was a time when he didn't have a club just before he went into Barnet, and we were at home and we would talk, and never anything in his, you could tell anything in his mind, so his makeup was ever squashed. He believed in what he was doing. We would go out there, we'd train, we'd run, and then this opportunity came. So to be a pro is one thing, to sustain it for years and years and years is something completely different. Yeah, so obviously you said about that mentality, which I think is something we sort of take for granted from the outside. But you then sort of went, there was quite a few different sort of moves, but then you went to Crawley and Macclesfield, which I know you were saying about not getting back into that, but how did that sort of come about? Did you think maybe that pro dream was over when you left Holland? I did. I thought it was over. The Crawley thing came about, this is nuts, to be fair. But when I was at Gillingham, there was Bernie. Bernie used to chief scout at Gillingham and stuff like that. Really nice guy, and I knew a load of players. And then Bernie, I think his son's now at Crystal Palace still. Bernie knew that, so they had 10 points, Crawley had 10 points deducted, and they got rid of the manager. Another guy went in as interim manager, and he was good friends with Bernie. So obviously Bernie, he was a bit of a wheeler and dealer, Bernie. He was ledge. He said, do you need players? Because obviously he had a pool of players. So I got a call from Bernie one day saying, there's an opportunity to go into Crawley. You're in a bit of trouble, go and get some games. And I was like, you being serious? They were in conference at the time, and I was like, you being serious? And he's like, yeah, go in. I was like, oh, of course I would. Do you know what? I did actually really like it. I loved that club, the way it was struggling at the time. I think a bit of money problems and whatnot, but I can't remember the manager's name. Sorry, mate. But he had a group. He had a group of players who were basically in the same situation as me, that were ready to grind, ready to work hard to try and achieve something. And then he had the players that were there already that were quite well known. At first, the first training session, we were all here and they were all there. And then literally within a week or two, it was like one big squad. Everything was happy, buzzing, and stayed up by 1 point, to be fair. Stayed up by 1 point. But I didn't get paid a penny for that. I was there 8 months, 9 monps, 8-9 months, didn't get paid a penny. And I was like, do you know what? I'm quite religious. Like, my family's quite religious. Do you know what? God's given me an opportunity. Yeah. Who am I to turn this opportunity down? I already did it once with Barnet. It'd be kicking him in the teeth if I did it again. So I said, you know what? Maybe I should have done the Barnet thing. The money, they offered me money, but You know, so this was maybe me having to sort of, you know, yeah, did it. Didn't get paid a penny. Didn't get paid a penny. Loved it though. We stayed up. It was a good crack. And then off of that, that's when Paul Ince got the Macclesfield job. And I'd done all right, to be fair. I was playing left wing. I remember a game against Oxford we played, and I was gutted. Got there and I was on the bench. Oxford was like the big team. And I was on the bench, gutted. But do you know what? From where I'd come from, everything was a blessing.
Yeah.
Training facilities was a blessing. Like I'd gone from here to all the way down here and beating around all, you know, little teams and stuff, and then bang, got an opportunity. So nothing was a problem. Did I have the hump inside here massively because it was like nice state, all my family with it, like you know, it was quite local. So then I came on. I think it was like came on 50th minute or something like that, and I did really well. I should have scored two, but I'll never forget. But I done really well. And then Bernie's son Fred was working at Palace at the time, and he was in the crowd. He watched, and he got speaking to someone, and it was Ray Mateus. So he was Paul Ince's number 2. Right. After that, it was after the game, mate. I was also on non-contract at Crawley, so they're interested in you. What do you want to do? I was like, but they're League 2. I'm climbing this ladder for free. Like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't know what. Spoke to Crawley. They were saying, no, we want you to stay. Just bear with us. We can't pay you, but just bear with us. Like, blah, blah. We've got a month left of the season. No, a month and a half left of the season. It was a month and a half. Also, Macclesfield was struggling at the bottom at the points deduction as well. I think it was a points deduction or something like that. So anyway, I've gone up to Macclesfield on a Monday morning. I met Paul Ince. Now, I was a mess because he's like a colossal man. Quite frightening to be fair. Like, what he's done in the game, loads of respect. I think we did a training match, and I was put on the right wing. And I'm telling you now, I ran around like a nutcase. I was like a nut. Anyway, playing this game, I didn't get anywhere near the goal. I was just doing loads of things in the midfield, and I just remember it, and it was just like, it was on the first team pitch, and it was just bang, 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 and it was all over the gaff, and just so excited, and I come off, and Fred said to me, because we'd driven up Fred drove me up there the night before, the Sunday night, we stayed in the hotel. Fred paid for everything. It was unbelievable. I owe him. I haven't seen him for years. And I'm telling you now, I get in contact with Fred, people like that, and Bernie. And we drove up there, we stayed in the hotel, I was nervous and stuff like that. And he was like, what are you nervous for? You played in Holland, like, what's wrong with you? I was like, no, but I'm down and out now, mate, that kind of thing. And the conversation is really real. And you're a different person when you really need something. Yeah, I played the game. Afterwards, like, yeah, I like him. He was like, I like him. Very man, with very few words.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. Can he stay up for the rest of the week? So I was like, yeah, whatever. Fred went down, I stayed up. I met Zaya Rankin there.
Yeah.
So obviously, Arsenal legend. I'm an Arsenal fan, always have been. Remember pictures of him and stuff like that. So literally, he ended up coming, and I got really close with Zaya. And then they offered me non-contract and more money than I'd earned in the last 9 months. So I was like, okay, yeah, do this. It was a month and a half left of the season. They were rock bottom, and it was a massive, massive eye-opener. I thought Crawley Town, 10 points deducted. That was a doddle in the park compared to what it takes and what the energy it takes to stay in the Football League. Oh, my God. Mate, I've never been so drained in my life after a training session, after a team analysis, after the conversation with the manager in the office. It was just so intense. Whose job relied on it? He was just management. He had to be successful. He was Paul Ince, the Man United player, the Liverpool player. He had to be. So he was ruthless, and I mean ruthless. I remember I got taken off against Wrexham. I started, and then we had a corner, and it was a routine. I won't go into it, but it was a routine where I stay up. I was quite quick, slim and quick, and I stay up. Goalkeeper gets the ball, and he just rifles it, and I've got a race, and that was the plan. Don't come for the ball. Don't come forward. Just as soon as you turn, run. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking in my head. As he's caught it, I've peeled off wide. I'm still on the halfway, but I've peeled off wide to try and get it to feet, for him to throw it. He's launched it. I haven't run. And I'm telling you now, I've never been spoken to the way that this man has spoken to me. But, do you know what? Once again, I'll never, ever slag anyone off or anything bad about anyone, because at the end of the day, I can't tell you how to feel in certain situations. That was his first job. That was the way he felt it was necessary to be successful. He was under pressure. Emotions come up. But yeah, it was a very, very tough time. We stayed up by a point as well, which was lovely. Put that in there. Yeah, then after that, it was just a decline again, really. I got offered a 3-year deal, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. The chairman himself, the owner himself offered me the deal. I was like, oh my God, I'm back, like, love it. Paul Ince then left and went to MK Dons. He read and was like, look, I want to take him with me. So I was like, yeah, I'll go. MK Dons, League One, whatever. Like, I'm climbing, I'm back. Like, I should have been loyal to them. They took another chance on me, like stuff like that. And I should have relaxed and signed my 3-year deal, worked hard, and then got back again. You always think the grass is greener. And he with him there, and I thought, even though he dug me out and he was hard on me and it was this and that, he also gave me a level of confidence. There was one time I was like, do you know who you remind me of? You remind me of Jermaine Pennant. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, whatever. And whether that boosted me up, like, whatever, but it made me feel amazing. So I thought, you know what, believed in me, whatever not. And I went there, and I'll cut real quick for this because it boils my blood even thinking about it. I went there to first day of pre-season. We did a test. It looked great. He looked this. And the most he's ever spoken to me. He was obviously in a happy place.
Yeah.
We trained Monday morning. I was nervous again for some reason. I was nervous. And then we went to Portugal the Wednesday. We flew out to Portugal the Wednesday. We went out and it was roast up like 35, 36. We had a training and I just was drained. But we had I had the ball on the left. He wanted the ball. He was the main striker. I didn't give it to him. I chopped down the line, crossed it, got blocked out for a corner. He got mental. And I was like, don't speak to me like that. He's the main striker. Paul Ince obviously was over. What's going on? And I said, oh, nothing. No, nothing. Just sort of saying, out. He's decided to go, nah, he's a little blah, blah, this and that. Obviously, Paul Ince has been being Paul Ince, decided to back his main striker because that's where his goals are. That's where he knew he would get his success. Oh, you're not training. Get off the pitch. Next day, did the run next day. We flew back. We had a friendly game against Chelsea. I turned up. There was 2 squads. First half squad, second half squad, and subs for both squads. First half team played, second half team played, and just by not luck, I say luck because it's not good for other players, but my luck, someone got injured straight away in the second half. So I came on, played right wing, done. I really wanted Chelsea, so I wanted to be, I think I've done well. He called me in the office after. He's like, I no longer need you at the club. I've sold Eyes on McLeod just now for 1.5 million, and I've brought 3 other weeks. This was 4 days before the season started. So I had nothing again, mate. Oh, my head, I did lost. I struggled massively after that. I didn't even really want to play football anymore, but it's the only thing I can do.
I was just going to say, if you don't want me to jump in, I think what we, as fans, we can be so, or people who watch football can be so, not condescending, but, you just see player A move from club 1 to club 2, and you just sort of think, oh, that's an odd move, or why has he done that? I don't think I think it's something that I've learned through doing some of these interviews, and probably more so just from chatting to you now than anyone else you've spoken to, is just that, like, moving club is so much more than just...
I get that all the time. Even like I had a conversation with someone the other day. Oh, you've had a lot of clubs. Then they're like, oh, like, what didn't you fit in? Or they assume there's been a problem, or they assume there's been this, or they assume... And it's literally, yeah, of course there's going to be problems at clubs, but sometimes players just go through situations where just luck's not in.
I just sort of feel like even like, it's like sometimes as a fan you get frustrated and you see, you maybe not have a pop at a player, but you get annoyed. Actually, when you were saying like you were, financing your own career at Crawley, for example, I bet, not if you know what I'm saying, I bet no one knew that. We don't really see that. I think we, as fans, we've probably spoilt by the Premier League a little bit, and lower league see it so objective that, he's got loads of money, he's living the dream, but actually we have no idea what's going off the pitch.
I got a lot of stick after the Crawley thing because I got a lot of stick, and I was never big on that social media. I wasn't really around that much. I got a lot of stick off of that, and nobody knew. I didn't get paid a penny. It was an opportunity, and we all spoke together. It wasn't, because I would have stayed, I would have finished off, but it was just an opportunity, and it came about, and it was like, well, do you know what? I've given you 8 or 9 months. I've given you, and not that I'm trying to stitch you up, but, there's something over there I could have a little go at. So, no, yeah, but people, yeah, it's true what you say, but I get it from fans, because fans are fake football. They are loyal. You turn up to a game, you're winning or whatever, not you're losing. Like the fans are there. We're all human. Do you know what I mean? If we're losing and they feel like the team are not working hard enough, they pay their money. They have their right to say. What you're doing is amazing because it opens the eyes a little bit to say that it's bigger than just, am I playing? Am I not playing? Do I like the team? Do I want to stay? It's bigger than that.
No, I appreciate you being so honest about it as well, because I think, as I say, you see the Premier League, and I think so many people who maybe don't understand necessarily how lower league football works, not even non-league, but even just lower league, and you get spoilt by that. So, I really appreciate people like yourself sort of talking about it, and that obviously you then said maybe that the slight disillusionment of going into that sort of non-league. I suppose there's an impression, isn't there, of non-league football being a bit brutish.
I think I was quite lucky though. The teams that I battered around at, I think because of my size, I think maybe because of they hear, oh, you're playing Holland, you must be technical. I think I got maybe a little bit of interest from the teams that wanted to try and play a bit more. But it was, non-league is brutal. There's no, as I said, going back when I was growing up in the youth team, and it was sink or swim when you go with the first team. It was exactly the same. So I was kind of aware of it already. And I kind of added that horrible side, got sent off a few times to protect myself, being, the little one or whatever not. So I'll go back to it, mate. This country, the non-league pyramid is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The football, that the players that are dropping down, the players that are choosing to be in non-league now, overplaying in the football league, is remarkable. Like the way that so competitive, there's so much quality in and around it. One of my brothers is at Dartford. It's not like, obviously non-league's a little bit different now from when I was there, but they're so professional. Yeah. Like you might as well give them a professional outfit. They train 3 or 4 times a week. They take home their monitors. The fitness guy is always onto them and speaking to them on their groups or Zoom or whatever. They're well drilled. You go and watch a game and it's like, well, I could watch this. And this is untrue. If I went and watched Stevenage Tranmere, Danzy got me a ticket, and I went and watched Stevenage Tranmere. And I'm telling you now, there was no difference in that game than the game that I watched, which was Welling versus Dulwich. That maybe the fitness levels are a little bit more because they're training 5, 6, 7 times a week. Okay, but other than that, the quality was exactly the same. The fans, even hearing the fans, nothing was different. So the non-league system over here is amazing, and it is better than what people think. They think, oh, no, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to play for this team because it's just going to kick it. Honestly, I would say to any go and play men's football. Go and understand what it is to play in a men's team where that money that they earn is paying their mortgage and it's paying their car, or it's being put together with the work money, and they're working before they come to training. Go and understand football. Go and learn. It's good knowledge, man. Good knowledge.
We watched Tranmere a couple of times just as we sort of adopted him as like a thing, and obviously Neil Dan's, he's
absolute legend, Danny. Legend.
We watched him. I think we watched them 3 times because obviously living in Luton, I think they played Watford in the FA Cup. We were at that 3-3 draw when they were like 3-0 down. And then I sort of mentioned about you having a fairly unique sort of career, and I can't thank you enough for being so honest about it. But then you probably got one of the later call-ups for an international team than a lot of other players, didn't you? If you don't me saying that in a sort of crude way, by the time, if you don't me saying, getting to where your age, when you got the international call-up, you'd be quite surprised, wouldn't you, I suppose?
Yeah. They were back. I had a few phone calls with them for years and years and years and years. When I was in Holland, I had a phone call. I had a phone call from Guyana and from Jamaica, but nothing really came of it. I wasn't really. Remember, I said in the beginning, I was never football crazy, as in I want to play international football. I was like, I want to do the best I can do here now. It wasn't until later that now, me here now, I'm absolutely football nuts.
Yeah.
So I would have jumped at it before, but I just wanted to do the best for my team. I wasn't really. When someone rang me about something or someone got in touch or an agent, I was like, oh, yeah, whatever you sort out. I wasn't really massively eager to do it. So then Michael Johnson got the job. And Faisal, I have to give him a shout out, Faisal Khan. He's the chief scout, recruitment guy. He's got a big pool of players over here. Now, before that, I think he recruited like Neil Dans, Matthew Briggs, Sam Cox, Del Daniels. But that was it. Because obviously they had, I think, Guyanese-based managers and stuff like that. So they didn't want an influx of foreigners coming to play for the national team. But then they gave the job to Michael Johnson, which, unbelievable. I forgot about him when I said about best managers. He is the best man-to-man, one-to-one person you could ever wish for. Like, he can make you feel like, I went into games and I felt like I was playing in like the World Cup final. Honestly, it was unbelievable. And for him to give me that opportunity, him and I have to say Willow as well, Paul Williams, Taff was amazing, part of it, and everyone there. You got even the analysis guy, Asa. He was unbelievable for us. The whole what Michael Johnson got there, his team that he built was phenomenal, and they all had their attributes. And then that allowed Faisal to then say, okay, well, I've got a pool of the English British players that are Guyanese that would love to play for their country. Like their mums and dads come from here, like they would love to represent. And that's how it came about. I got a phone call from Faisal when I was on the phone. I actually was at work. I was at Virgin. I worked at Virgin Active. I got a phone call. I'm sitting in the office, and we were speaking for 2.5 hours on the phone. Next thing I know, I got an email, and I was like, "Oh, this is banter, isn't it? This is banter. This is so banter." My brother Key rang me, and he's like, "Have you got an email?" I was like, "Yeah." With banter, he's like, "I've been called up," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Fantastic! Like, go do your thing." Like, because he played for England and stuff, and then obviously fallen out of it, and played for England C, and then he's too old for it. So he wants to play international football. He wants to be involved in that, which is fantastic for him. And I was just like, yeah, blasé about it, whatever. And then literally I got a phone call from Michael Johnson, and he was like, "Look, I know your story," and he knew everything about me. Honestly, he knew everything about me. I know your story. I know how hungry you are. I know how old you are, and I know you're still doing it. You're still playing. He spoke to the manager at the time. I was at East Thurrock. No, I was at Whitehawk. Sorry, Whitehawk, and then I went to East Thurrock. I was at Whitehawk. He spoke to them. They loved it. That's a great club as well, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Their fans, they should be Premier League. That club, they need to be in Premier League. Unbelievable. They spoke to the club. The club were doing a write-up about me and like really making it a big thing and saying like we're so proud. Oh, that was amazing. Then he said to me, "I want you for your experience. We've got Dan, obviously, we've got Danzy, who's really experienced and a legend and stuff. But I want you for your experience. We need a left-sided defender." So I went out there now and I flew out there. I was so nervous. Flew out there and it took me 27 hours. Mate.
Oh, wow.
I got there and I didn't know anything about international football, right? So I thought, when I'm on a plane, I'm going somewhere to sit down, have a little cocktail or beer, and that's it. I had a 7-hour wait in New York, in the airport. So I was literally, I got my bag, I was laying in the corner, I fell asleep. Then I had an hour flight. So anyway, I've got there now, got picked up from the airport, and I was like, "This is nice." And then they're driving through Guyana. It's a beautiful country. It was the first time I ever went to a beautiful country. My mum is a strong Guyanese woman. She loves Guyana. Like all my mum's side, they love Guyana. So we'd seen videos and they talk about it, but to see it, it was beautiful. Got to the hotel. It was a brand new hotel built. So I was like, "Whoa, this is nice." Like, got in there, players all greeted me. We had a little meeting, welcomed me from first cap and stuff. Had a bit of banter about my age because I was like, I was I think it was, I was Danzy. I'm a year younger than Danzy, or 2 years younger than Danzy. And it was like, how's this come about? Like, so now, and then it was go and have a nap for 2 hours, and then we got training. Mate, see, that first training session, I have never felt so bad. I thought they would send me home. I honestly thought they would say, "Nah, this he's a bit too old for us." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Oh, and they were like, "No, you got to get used to the altitude." So, and then we trained 3 days, and then he named the squad after the training session against Barbados, my first game. And I wasn't sure. I knew that they want. He spoke to me all week, and he was like, "Your leadership is good. Your organisation skills are good." I've always been that good at that. I enjoy it. And he's like, "That's what we need. We need, and in the analysis, he would break down us, and say what we could be strong at. And I thought, there's a chance I could start, but just happy to be here. Yeah. International football. To everyone else, Guyana's not a big country. Guyana's a big country. It's a big country. The football's not big, but it's getting there. And just being involved was amazing. Then I got told, "Yeah, he's starting." Mate, I didn't sleep the night. I didn't sleep at all. I was to Danzy and Coxey. I was like, what's it like? What's it like? And I'll never forget the first time we went. The coach took us to the ground. The whole of Guyana was out on the streets.
Really?
Carnival, police sirens, everything, because we had a police escort. It was nuts, mate. Honestly, I thought more about that than the actual match itself. I was so nervous. We got off. The fans were there. It was carnival. Imagine carnival. It was just carnival. Got into the stadium now, and obviously I did my normal prep and stuff like that. And I was just so nervous. And the first 5 or 6 minutes, I realised, geez, it doesn't matter. Like, we're playing against Barbados, and I didn't really know much about Barbados, to be fair. And this geezer, he's got the ball, and he's just gone zip, zip, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." Okay, so I did what I do, and I just hit him early doors. I hit him really good. And I'd settled into the game, and it was unbelievable, mate. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I thank, as I said, Michael Johnson and Willow and Taff for that opportunity, because going back a little bit, my career's been up and down. I've had loads of clubs. Everybody knows. Everyone can sit from the outside and can see that. No one really knows the inside of it and what is taken. I've tried to be as strong as possible because I love football now. I just wanted to be a footballer. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And I thought, I had loads of regrets. And my kids, I'd take my kids to see my brothers play and stuff so they could see, and I'd like, I wish my kids could see me. And then that happened. It was like, oh my God, like how that thank you looked like. It was unbelievable to be in that profession, training twice a day again, the food prep, the weigh-ins, the weight sessions, everything about it was just back in the pro field. And then to meet amazing people, as I said, like, you know, the Guyanese players over there, there's some quality players over there. There's some, I'm telling you, they can, but it's down to visas and stuff, and they can't come over and can't go here and can't go there. So then they miss out on an opportunity. And then meeting like Coxie, unbelievable person, unbelievable human being, like really genuine guys. It was, I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic.
It almost feels like there was a bit of reward for all that hard work. I know you said mention some lows, but actually, you know, to round that off almost, because international football is the pinnacle, wherever that is, and to have that experience, you know, no one can ever take that away from you now, can they? So you're coaching now. Is that something you always want to do, and sort of where are you and all of that for people who don't know, you know, familiar with Bedford Town?
I went to the Gold Cup with Guyana. I got I didn't know if I would get selected for the actual tournament because they drafted in the big boys like the Callum Harrietts from Reading, my brother Keanu. He went over. He was at Newport County at the time, and we had like loads of football players. So I didn't think, you know, I'd maybe that was my journey. Pass it on now, let them go to the major tournament. I would have been gutted, but so when I got the call to go there, I was like, whoa. So that was phenomenal. And you playing USA in the first game, and it was like 70,000 like it was just phenomenal. So that tournament was great. But it was my role in the squad. My role in the squad was more of I was helping knit together, if that makes sense. And I didn't realise what I was doing. Gaffer called me every one time and he said, I love the way that you knit everything together, you talk to everyone, you help everyone, you communicate well, stuff like that. And he said that you should really think about, you know, you need to go coaching and stuff. What do you think about that? And I said, yeah, well, you know, I've got my badges and stuff, but I don't know if it's for me. I don't know. I don't know where to go with it. And he said, no, listen, I think you should. I think it'd be amazing. And that kind of gave me like a kick up the bum. Like, I was like, okay, well, I am like 30, whatever. And this is going to be my last ever time to be around this environment. Let me learn as much as possible. So I took that all in. Now, going back a little bit before that, I had played for Bedford Town before. And I have to give him a mention, John Taylor. For me, unbelievable human being. Unbelievable human being. I played for him, and he's old school, but he's got so many good ideas as well. And he made me captain. And then at the end of the season, played the last game of the season. At the end of the season, he called me. We were in the bar, and Bedford Town is a beautiful club. Like they deserve to be higher. That's the aim this year. But he called me into the bar. We were talking, and there was another first team coach and the assistant manager, and he said, "Look, we like the way you are. We like, you know, your character, blah blah blah. I want you to be my assistant manager." And I was like, "I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this." He's like, "No, but I think you should really consider it and go into that coaching side of things and stuff like that." So he gave me the bug, but then Michael Johnson said to me, "No, you need to do that." So then the two of those men together have basically made me do this. Right. Made me want to coach. Made me want to give back. I'm a bit wacky, a little bit crazy, I get told. But I honestly, mate, I can't do anything else. I love football. I just love to give back to. I'd love to see a youngster, not just on the field, but as I said to you before, football is not. It's up here. It's like 75% up here. You to get a professional contract. It's not easy, but it's doable. To have a career in football, oh mate, it's tough. I'm trying to make them learn that aspect. I'm trying to give them the foundations and the fundamentals that. But you know, you might work in sport. You could be a physiotherapist. You could be, you know, you could analysis. You could maybe take coaching badges and do something like that in that field. But also give them the foundations for life and stuff like that. So that's my aim. I think obviously the journey you've had, you know, you've drawn so many different experiences from different places. Just to finish off, Renee, what we do is anyone we speak to, we do like a quick fire sort of like one word answer sort of thing just to finish off with. So out of all the people I speak to, this one, your choice will probably be the toughest out of all the pros that we've spoken to. So the first one is your favourite ground you've ever played at. I'm going to say Kansas City. Right, wow, bloody hell. I didn't expect that, I've got to be honest. Oh, mate, unbelievable. Really? Like, oh, the whole stadium, like it's a Premier League stadium. Yeah. That felt. You mentioned a few, so if it's going to get in trouble, then you don't have to answer it. But your favourite manager that you've had? I'll say it straight. It'd be Michael Johnson and Martin Jol and Taylor. For different reasons. Michael Johnson, the what he gave me, what he allowed me to achieve. That Martin Jol, how he kind of shaped me and molded me and helped me when I was abroad. Yeah, massive for me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't read one.
And then second to last one, the best player you played against.
Daniel de Ridder.
Really?
Oh mate, I remember he came over from Holland and he went to Birmingham. Saw little bits of him, but they didn't see the real Daniel de Ridder. He at Ajax. I'm telling you now, this kid was unbelievable. Or Emmanuelson for Ajax as well.
Right.
Emmanuelson, but I'll say Daniel de Ridder.
And then the last one, so we actually started this as just sort of fans, and it'd just be their favourite game they've ever watched. But obviously, because you've played professionally, we'll give you two. So it's your favourite game you've ever played in, and then your favourite game that you've ever watched. And it might have been, on the TV or at the ground, but one that you weren't involved in.
Favourite game I've ever played in would be Gillingham Palace.
Right.
Yeah. Only because Ian Wright's like a legend to me, and I met him the tunnel. So I was like, yeah. So favourite game I've ever watched: Arsenal Gillingham FA Cup. It was at Highbury, the old Highbury, and I wasn't in the squad. I was only young anyway, but I was in the squad. But I travelled with the first team. Oh my god, that was the best game. Edu, how good was Edu, by the way? People don't enough justice. Like, he was the man.
Yeah.
That favourite game.
I can't thank you enough for giving up your time for this, Ronayne, but you're a top man. Thanks for doing that.
Yes, pal. Thank you.